The countdown reached 0 before J.D. Vance even finished adjusting his tie. The studio lights snapped on, bright and sharp, exposing every twitch on his face. Cameras rolled, producers whispered. The audience murmured. And across from him, calm as stone, sat Barack Obama. J.D. didn't blink. Obama did, once slow and deliberate, as if marking the start of something J.D. never agreed to. The host didn't waste a second. "Senator Vance," he said. "Tonight President Obama has brought something with him, something you may want to see." J.D.'s stomach flipped. He already knew. He had heard rumors backstage. He prayed they were wrong. Obama lifted a thin, sealed folder from under the desk. He didn't smile. He didn't grandstand. He just placed the folder on the table between them, like it was evidence in a closed case. "This," Obama said, tapping it once, "is your Yale record. Every page, every note, every review." J.D. felt heat climb his throat. His fingers curled. Cameras zoomed in, catching the tiny shake in his right hand. Obama didn't look at him. He looked at the audience. "And tonight," Obama continued, "we're going to read what's inside." A wave of gasps hit the studio. J.D. swallowed hard. He wasn't ready. Not for this. "Those records were sealed," J.D. muttered. Obama finally looked straight at him. "They were," Obama said. "Not anymore." J.D. felt something inside him lurch. The audience leaned in. Hungry. The host blinked twice. Shocked. A producer off-camera mouthed, "Oh my God." The folder sat there. Silent. Threatening. Waiting. J.D. whispered, "You can't do this." Obama replied, "Watch me." The studio shifted. Energy changed. Even the air felt heavier. And as Obama slid his finger under the flap of the folder, J.D. felt his entire world tilt forward, as if the ground itself was pulling him toward the edge. Inside that folder was the one thing he never wanted anyone to see. Not the grades. Not the comments. Not the letters. Not the note written by that one professor who had seen too much. J.D.'s voice cracked. "Don't open it." Obama didn't stop. The first page came out. J.D.'s hands trembled. Obama began to read. And the room stopped breathing. Obama held the page with two fingers as if it carried weight. The host leaned forward. The audience waited. J.D. stared at the paper like it was a loaded weapon pointed at his chest. Obama read the first line. "Student shows unusual emotional volatility." J.D.'s head snapped up. Obama continued. "Reacts defensively when challenged." J.D. muttered, "That's taken out of context." Obama didn't acknowledge it. "Struggles to handle pressure without escalating tension." A ripple of whispers spread through the crowd. J.D. clenched his fists under the desk. His pulse hammered at his neck. That note, that stupid note, had haunted him for years. He never thought anyone outside Yale would ever see it. Obama turned the page slightly, showing the camera. "Written by Professor Lowell," he added, "second semester evaluation." J.D. spoke through locked teeth. "He didn't like me." Obama raised one eyebrow. "Says here he recommended counseling twice." J.D.'s throat tightened. Camera operators zoomed in on every twitch of his jaw. The host shifted in his seat, sensing something deeper. Obama laid the page down. "Senator Vance," he said calmly, "your public image is built on steadiness, strength, discipline, but these records tell a different story." J.D.'s chest shook once, barely visible, but Obama noticed. Everyone noticed. "You bring this out," J.D. whispered, "because you can't debate me." Obama nodded toward the folder. "No," he said, "I brought this because I'm tired of you acting like you're the only one who understands struggle, pain, pressure. The truth matters. And the truth starts here." J.D. grabbed the edge of the desk, knuckles pale. Obama reached for the second page. J.D.'s voice rose a little too suddenly. "What else is in there?" Obama didn't answer. He just pulled out the next sheet. J.D. swallowed again. Hard. That page contained the moment J.D.'s life at Yale flipped. The moment he lost control. The moment he still pretended never happened. He whispered, "Don't read that." Obama lifted the page. "And read it anyway." Obama's tone changed. Calmer, slower, more careful. That alone made J.D. panic. "Incident report, student, James David Vance." J.D. winced at the use of his full name. Obama continued. "Subject displayed a sudden emotional outburst during seminar debate." J.D.'s breath caught, raising voice, slamming books and leaving the room abruptly. Gasps rose from the audience. J.D.'s fingers curled tighter around the desk. Obama read on. Classmates expressed concern. Faculty noted pattern of escalating reactions when feeling cornered. JD leaned forward, voice cracking. It wasn't an outburst. I was pushed. They twisted my... Obama kept going. Subject returned later to apologize, appeared visibly shaken. JD whispered, "That part isn't fair." Obama set the page down. "You want fair," he said. "Fair is telling the whole truth, not the story you sell on camera." JD shook his head. "Not hard, not fast, just enough to betray fear." The host finally stepped in. "Senator Vance, is this accurate?" JD hesitated. A second too long. Long enough for millions of viewers to notice. "I had a moment," JD admitted. "Everyone does." Obama slid the page closer to him. "Not everyone has 3 reports like this," Obama said. JD's jaw locked. 3. The number cut through him like a blade. He had hoped Obama wouldn't find the other 2. He had hoped Yale had buried them deep enough. Obama wasn't finished. "There's more," he said. JD felt sweat gather at his collar. The audience leaned forward, hungry for the next reveal. Obama reached back into the folder, pulling out a thicker section, stapled. More pages than JD ever wanted to see again. JD whispered, "Please don't." Obama looked at him. For the first time that night, sympathy flickered in Obama's eyes. But he still opened the stapled packet. "Senator," Obama said quietly, "this isn't about destroying you. This is about who you pretend to be." JD exhaled through trembling lips. "This packet," Obama continued, "is about the night the dean intervened." JD's heart dropped. The audience erupted in shocked whispers. The dean incident. The worst moment. The one thing JD swore he'd take to his grave. Obama placed the packet on the table. "Do you want me to read it?" he asked. "Or do you want to explain it?" JD froze. His throat tightened. His hands shook visibly. The cameras caught every detail. Obama waited. The studio waited. Millions watching at home waited. JD opened his mouth. No words came out. Obama tapped the packet once. "Your choice, Senator." JD felt his entire future trembling in front of him. He whispered, barely audible, "Don't make me read it." Obama replied, "Then I will." And he flipped to the first page of the Dean incident record. Obama held the top page of the stapled packet, the one with the bold heading, "Dean's Formal Intervention Report." JD's eyes watered, not from emotion but from the shock of seeing words he never expected to leave Yale's basement archive. Obama read the first line. "Student was called to the dean's office after multiple concerning incidents involving emotional instability." JD's fingernails dug into his palm. Obama continued. "Subject appeared agitated, pacing the office, hands shaking visibly." The audience murmured, surprised by how closely the report matched what they were watching on live television. JD snapped, "This is humiliating." Obama didn't look at him. "Dean recommended a temporary leave to address stress-related behavior." JD's voice rose sharply. "It wasn't stress, it was pressure." Obama turned the page. Subject refused leave. Insisted he was fine. Demonstrated difficulty accepting criticism. JD's chest tightened. "Criticism, he tried to label me." Obama cut in. "This is his report, Senator. His words, not mine." JD's mouth snapped shut. Obama kept reading. Subject became emotional. Raising voice. Dean instructed student to sit. Subject remained standing, visibly trembling. Obama paused and looked across the table. "Sound familiar?" JD slammed his fist on the desk. Not hard, but loud enough for every mic to catch it. The audience gasped. Obama didn't flinch. "Senator," Obama said softly, "you're shaking again." JD jerked his hand back under the desk, gripping it with the other one to stop the visible tremor. Obama turned to the next page. This one was worse. Student expressed fear of being seen as weak. JD's face drained, and stated he could not afford for anyone to know he was struggling. JD muttered, "You're twisting it." Obama didn't blink. "This is what you told the dean." JD pressed both hands against the desk, shoulders rising as he tried to steady himself. Obama placed the page down. "This," Obama said, "is why your sealed record matters. Not because of the mistakes, but because of what you've been hiding from the public while attacking others for being honest about their struggles." JD's jaw twitched. A producer off-camera whispered, "He's losing it." Obama slid the packet slightly forward. "There are 3 more pages in here," Obama said quietly. "Do you want me to read them, or do you want to explain the night you almost got removed from the program?" The audience froze. JD swallowed so hard the mic picked it up. His throat tightened. His hand trembled again. His eyes dropped to the floor for a split second, a tiny moment of defeat that millions would replay later. He whispered, "I didn't almost get removed." Obama opened the next page. "According to this, you did." JD shut his eyes. And the camera zoomed in, capturing every flicker of fear. Obama read the heading, "Emergency Faculty Meeting, Recommendation for Disciplinary Review." JD's breath caught. Obama continued, "Following repeated emotional incidents, faculty considered formal action regarding students' conduct." JD jumped in. "That meeting wasn't what it looks like." Obama raised a hand, not to silence him but to force him to wait. Concerns included inability to handle disagreement, escalating reactions, and a pattern of defensiveness when challenged. JD's foot tapped rapidly under the table. He tried to stop it, but it kept going. Obama lowered the paper slightly. "Senator, this isn't about one moment, this is documented over months." JD's voice cracked. "They pushed me, they knew I was coming from a harder background, and they treated me like I didn't belong." Obama nodded lightly. "I'm sure they did. Academia can be cruel. But that's not what the report says." JD's eyes widened. "Because they lied." Obama turned the page. Faculty noted student refused support services, denied personal stress, and accused professors of targeting him intentionally. The host finally stepped in. "How serious was this meeting?" he asked. Obama looked at him. It ended with a split vote. JD stiffened. Obama continued, "Half the faculty recommended semester suspension pending evaluation." JD's throat tightened. The other half voted to give the student one more chance. JD exhaled shakily. He remembered that night too well. The cold hallway. The closed doors. The fear he'd failed everything. Obama read the final line. "Outcome: student permitted to continue under close watch, with note indicating further incidents could result in immediate removal." The audience murmured loudly. JD bit down on the inside of his cheek until he tasted blood. Obama closed the file slowly. "Senator Vance," he said, "most people have moments they're not proud of. But you chose to build a public persona that pretends you never struggled." JD snapped back. "You don't get to judge me." Obama leaned forward. "I'm not judging, I'm exposing the truth you hid." JD's chest rose and fell with uneven breaths. Obama tapped the stack again. "And we're not done." JD froze. "What else is there?" he whispered. Obama pulled out one more document from the back of the folder, thicker, older, with corners bent from age. JD's face strained. He knew exactly what it was. Obama held it up. "The letter you wrote," Obama said. "The one Yale never responded to." JD's heart stopped. The audience gasped. The host blinked twice. Producers leaned in. Camera lenses adjusted like they sensed something enormous. JD whispered, "No." Obama unfolded the letter. And the studio went silent. Obama held the letter gently, almost respectfully, which somehow made JD even more afraid. JD's breathing grew shallow. Obama began reading. "To the Yale Faculty Committee." JD's hand shot out halfway across the table. "Stop." Obama didn't stop. "I am writing because I feel I am losing control." JD closed his eyes tight. The audience froze. "And I do not know how to hold myself together anymore." JD's lips parted slightly, as if he wanted to speak but couldn't. Obama continued, "I am trying to be strong, but every day gets harder." JD muttered, "Please don't. And I am afraid I will break in front of my classmates." The room murmured in shock. JD shook his head violently. "That letter wasn't meant for anyone." Obama read on. "I don't want to be seen as weak. I don't want people to know how much I'm struggling." JD's voice cracked. "Stop reading it." Obama's tone softened. "But if I don't tell someone, I'm afraid I'll lose everything." JD covered his eyes with one hand, fingers trembling. "Please, I need help. I just don't know how to ask." Obama lowered the letter. Silence swallowed the room. JD looked broken, not angry, not defensive, just defeated. Obama placed the letter down carefully. "Senator," he said, "you weren't weak. You were human." JD didn't respond. Obama continued, "But when you built your career on mocking others for showing vulnerability, that's when this letter became important." JD finally looked up. His eyes were wet, but furious. "You think reading that makes you noble? You're humiliating me." Obama leaned in, voice steady. "Humiliation is pretending you never felt pain, then attacking others for admitting they did." JD's chest rose sharply. Obama tapped the letter. This was your truth. Before the cameras, before the politics, before the persona. JD clenched his jaw so tightly the muscles shook. You're weaponizing something personal. I'm holding you accountable, Obama replied. The tension in the studio was suffocating. Audience silent, host speechless, cameras locked on JD's trembling hands. Then Obama said, "There's one final document." JD's head jerked up. "No more," he said. Obama didn't listen. He reached into the folder one last time and pulled out something JD hadn't seen in over a decade. A sealed envelope. JD's voice broke. "Not that. Please, not that." Obama laid it down between them. "This," he said, "is the evaluation from your Yale supervisor. The one that was kept off your official record." JD's entire body tensed. Obama slid it forward. "You know what's inside," JD whispered. "Don't open it." Obama opened it anyway. And JD's future began to collapse. Obama unfolded the sealed evaluation slowly, the paper crackling loud enough for the microphones to pick up. JD stared at it like it was a live grenade in Obama's hands. Obama read the header. Private supervisory assessment, not for student release. JD shut his eyes for a second, just long enough to reveal fear. Obama began reading. Student demonstrates intelligence but lacks emotional grounding. JD muttered, "That's one opinion." Obama continued. Displays difficulty regulating responses when feeling challenged. The audience shifted, recognizing the pattern. JD's voice rose. "Everyone gets defensive sometimes." Obama didn't pause. "This unpredictability has raised concern among faculty and peers." JD exhaled sharply through his nose. Especially following the incident in which the student abruptly left the presentation mid-question. The studio reacted instantly. JD snapped. "That wasn't how it happened." Obama lifted his eyes. "Then explain it." JD froze. The host leaned forward. "Senator, were you questioned during a presentation?" JD swallowed. I misunderstood the question." Obama read the next line. Upon exiting, student appeared overwhelmed, hands visibly shaking. JD looked away. Obama lowered the page slightly. "Senator," he said, "this isn't about weakness, it's about honesty." JD's voice dropped to a low growl. "You're trying to destroy me." Obama shook his head. "No. I'm trying to show the person you were, before politics taught you to hide him." JD's jaw clenched hard. Obama read the next part. Recommendation: students should pursue counseling or structured support before continuing in high-pressure environments. JD's shoulders stiffened. Obama read the final line. Failure to address these issues may lead to long-term instability. A hush fell over the studio. JD looked like he wanted to disappear. His hands trembled uncontrollably now, and he tried to hide them under the desk, but the cameras caught it. Obama set the evaluation down. "That wasn't the damaging part," he said quietly. JD's eyes widened. Obama held up a smaller page clipped to the back. "This is..." JD leaned back instinctively, as if distance could protect him. Obama read, "Student reports fear of being exposed as inadequate." JD's breath hitched. Expressed concern that if others discovered his struggles he would lose everything he was trying to build. JD whispered, "Stop." Obama continued. "Student uses anger as shield, emotionally reactive when feeling vulnerable." JD shut his eyes, fists trembling. When challenged, student defaults to defensiveness rather than reflection. Obama put the page down carefully. "Senator Vance, this evaluation isn't about shame. It's about why you built the persona you have today. You weren't protecting your pride. You were protecting your fear." JD's breathing turned uneven. The host asked softly, "Senator, is this accurate?" JD didn't answer. Not because he refused, but because his voice wouldn't come out. Obama leaned forward, elbows on the table. "You've spent years attacking others for showing the same vulnerability you once begged Yale to help you with." JD finally spoke, voice strained. "You're using my lowest moment to humiliate me." Obama shook his head. "No, I'm using it to strip away the image you hide behind." JD's pupils shrank. His lips trembled. His shoulders tensed violently. And Obama said, "We're still not finished." JD's head jerked up in horror. "What else?" Obama slid out one final sheet. JD grabbed the edge of the table, knuckles white. "This," Obama said softly, "is the supervisor's handwritten note about you. The most honest thing in your entire record." JD's stomach dropped. Obama lifted the note. "And read it." Obama spoke more slowly now, each word landing with precision. Student is not a bad person. JD's face contorted, confusion mixed with fear. Obama continued. Student is scared. JD blinked rapidly, caught off guard by the softness of the line. Student wants to succeed but is terrified of failing. JD's shoulders fell slightly. His anger is not strength. It is fear wearing armor. The room whispered. JD whispered, why would he write that? Obama turned the notes so the camera could see the teacher's handwriting. Because he saw you, Obama said. JD's breathing tightened. His lips trembled. His eyes watered again, this time not out of anger but something heavier. Obama read the last line. If he ever learns to stop fighting shadows, he could become someone solid. But until then, his fear will eat him alive. JD let out a shaky exhale, his voice barely audible. He wrote that about me. Obama nodded. JD closed his eyes, shook his head, and laughed once, not out of humor but disbelief. I never saw that note, he whispered. That's because it wasn't sent to you, Obama replied. JD rubbed his forehead with the heel of his palm, trying to steady himself. Obama leaned back gently. This note wasn't meant to punish you, it was meant to help you. JD's hands shook harder now, and he tried to stop them by gripping his forearms. Obama continued. But instead of addressing your fear, you built a public life around hiding it. JD met Obama's eyes, and for the first time he didn't look angry or defensive. He looked exposed. The host spoke gently. Senator Vance, is this why you're so aggressive on camera? JD's jaw trembled. I didn't want anyone to know. The audience stayed silent, unsure whether to sympathize or recoil. Obama placed the note down flat. There's one last thing in this folder, he said. Something you wrote yourself. JD's face drained. No. Obama pulled out a thin sheet, a page covered in JD's own handwriting. JD whispered. That's my reflection paper. Obama nodded. Assigned the week after the Dean incident. JD felt sick. Obama unfolded it. You wrote this, Obama said softly. And tonight, you're going to hear it. JD leaned forward, elbows on the table, fingers woven tightly into his hair. Obama began reading. Obama read JD's handwriting slowly, carefully. I don't know why I get so angry. JD squeezed his eyes shut. Obama continued. Sometimes I feel everyone is watching me, waiting for me to slip. JD muttered. Please don't read this. Obama did. When people challenge me, it feels like an attack, even when it's not. JD's breathing hitched. Obama kept going. I hate that I react this way. I hate that I can't control it. JD pressed his palms into his eyes, trying to block everything out. I'm afraid people will see the real me. The scared version. The one who feels like he doesn't belong here. JD whispered, stop. Obama didn't. I don't want to be this person. I don't want to feel like this. JD's chest rose and fell rapidly now. Obama read the last line. If I don't change, I will ruin my life before it even starts. Obama placed the paper down. JD didn't move. He sat there with his head bowed, hands locked together, shaking. Obama spoke softly. Senator, that was honest. More honest than you've been in years. JD didn't lift his eyes. Obama continued. You weren't weak when you wrote that. You were brave. You were someone trying to grow. JD's voice cracked. That's not the person I show people. And that's the problem, Obama replied. JD lifted his head slightly, eyes red, jaw trembling. You think this makes you look weak? Obama asked. JD didn't answer. Obama leaned in. It doesn't. Pretending you never felt fear, that's what makes you look weak. JD stared blankly at the desk. Obama pushed the papers slightly toward him. Senator, you can keep hiding, or you can tell the truth. JD shook his head. This was never meant to be public. Obama nodded. I know, but sometimes the truth comes out when it needs to. JD swallowed hard. You did this to humiliate me. Obama shook his head again. No, I did this so you could stop running from yourself. JD's lips parted, but no words came. The host looked between them. And then Obama said, there's only one question left. JD slowly lifted his eyes. Obama asked, who are you without the act? JD froze. The entire studio held its breath. A long, painful moment passed. Then JD whispered, I don't know. The lights felt hotter. The air felt heavier. JD's heart pounded so loud the mic picked it up. Obama leaned back, silent now, letting JD sit in the weight of everything laid bare. The host finally spoke. Senator, the country is watching. What do you want people to understand about you tonight? JD swallowed and looked straight into the camera. For a second he wasn't the combative figure people saw every day. He wasn't the loud voice. He wasn't the persona. He was just a man cornered by truth. I built a version of myself that looked strong, JD said, voice shaking. But I did it because I was scared. The audience watched, stunned. I didn't want anyone to see the parts Obama just read. JD continued. I didn't want anyone to know I struggled. He looked down at the letter, the evaluation, the notes, all the pieces of himself he tried to bury. But I did, he said softly. And I lied about it. To everyone. Obama nodded once, not approval, not triumph, just acknowledgement. JD took a breath. I attacked others for showing the vulnerability I was hiding, and that was wrong. Silence again. Raw, heavy, unfiltered. The host asked quietly. And now? JD's shoulders dropped, the fight leaving him completely. Now, I have to figure out who I am without pretending. Obama leaned forward. That's the first honest thing you've said tonight. JD didn't argue. Didn't bark back. Didn't shake his head. He simply nodded. For a moment, the cameras caught something rare. A man seeing himself clearly for the first time. The host closed the segment. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been one of the most unexpected broadcasts in recent memory. Obama stood. JD stood slower. Obama extended his hand. JD hesitated, then took it. The handshake wasn't friendly. It wasn't victorious. It wasn't dramatic. It was human and trembling. As the lights dimmed, JD picked up the papers, his letter, his evaluation, his notes, and held them against his side. He didn't storm off. He didn't defend himself. He didn't spin. He walked out of the studio quietly, the weight of truth on his shoulders. Obama watched him go. The world watched too. Because when JD Vance stepped through the side door and disappeared from view, one thing was clear. The persona broke. The armor cracked. And the real man finally showed. The hallway outside the studio felt colder than the room JD had just escaped. Cameras waited. Staff hovered. Producers whispered into headsets. And every pair of eyes tracked JD as he walked, holding the papers against his ribs like they were evidence of a crime he committed against himself. A handler stepped toward him. Senator, your car is... JD brushed past. Voice low. Not now. He moved fast, almost stumbling, trying to get anywhere that didn't have eyes watching him fall apart. But everywhere he turned, there were people staring, not with curiosity, but with something closer to pity. JD felt the floor tilt again. Pity. The one reaction he feared most. Behind him, the studio door opened. Obama stepped out calmly, no celebration, no smugness. He simply walked down the hall, nodding politely to staff who parted for him like water. JD turned a corner sharply, hoping to avoid him. But fate wasn't generous tonight. Obama's voice echoed softly. Senator. JD froze. Obama approached slowly. No cameras, no audience, no pressure, just two men in the aftermath of a truth that had been buried too deep. JD didn't turn around. Obama stopped beside him. You did the hardest part, Obama said. JD's jaw clenched. You think this was brave? I think hiding all this for years is what broke you, Obama replied, saying it out loud. That's the start. JD covered his mouth with one hand, trying not to let his breathing break again. I shouldn't have come on this show, he muttered. Obama shook his head. You should have been honest before it came to this. JD's hands trembled again, and he gripped the folder tighter. You don't know what it feels like, JD whispered. Being the one who's supposed to be strong, always, every minute, every room. Obama didn't argue. JD finally turned toward him, eyes red, expression torn between anger and exhaustion. You picked the worst night of my life, JD said, and you read it on national TV. Obama nodded once. It was ugly, but the truth often is. JD squeezed the folder until the cardstock bent. Do you want to know the real reason I buried all this? Obama waited. JD's voice cracked. Because if people saw this version of me, they'd never follow me, they'd never trust me, they'd never believe a word I said. Obama stepped closer. They'll follow the man who's honest about who he is, Obama said quietly. Not the one pretending he isn't terrified. JD's lip trembled. You don't know that. I do, Obama said, because people followed me despite my flaws. Not because I hid them. JD looked away again. People down the hallway pretended not to stare. Obama placed a hand briefly on JD's arm. "You're not alone in this," he said. JD scoffed. "Feels like it." Obama shook his head. "Only if you keep pretending." He tapped the papers JD held. "These parts of you aren't weaknesses, they're warnings. They're chances to grow." JD looked down at the papers, the ink blurring as his eyes watered again. "Growth doesn't help me in politics," JD said bitterly. "Strength does." Obama responded firmly. "Strength built on lies collapses. You felt that tonight." JD's breath shook. Obama added, "If you want to survive what comes next, you need to stop running from yourself." Then Obama walked away, leaving JD alone with truth, fear, and the echo of words he didn't want to hear. JD leaned against the wall, head down, arms wrapped around the folder like a shield. He wasn't ready for what was coming next. And it was already on its way. By the time JD reached the building exit, his phone was vibrating non-stop. Dozens of calls, hundreds of messages, his staff group chat exploding with warnings. He didn't answer anything. A car waited outside with the engine running. His driver stepped out. "Senator, everything okay?" JD didn't respond. He slid into the back seat and shut the door, gripping the papers with both hands. The driver asked gently, "To the hotel?" JD nodded. The car pulled away. Almost immediately, the radio switched to a breaking news segment, JD's name echoing from the speakers. JD closed his eyes. "Turn it off," he said. The driver did. But silence didn't give him peace. It made the thoughts louder. What would his allies say? What would his opponents say? What would his base say? He saw the moments replaying, the outbursts, the shaking hands, the letters, the dean's reports, all broadcasting live, captured forever. His staff had warned him about debating Obama. He ignored them. They'd told him that attacking Obama in person could backfire. He brushed them off. He thought he was untouchable. Now he felt like paper thin and tearing. The car reached his hotel. JD stepped out, rushed inside through a side entrance, avoiding the reporters forming near the front. He took the elevator alone. As soon as the doors closed, he finally let out the breath he'd been holding since the show started. When he reached his suite, he locked the door behind him and dropped the folder on the table. Papers scattered across the surface, the letter landing face up. JD stared at his own handwriting. "I am afraid I will break in front of my classmates." He grabbed the paper, crumpled it halfway, then stopped. Destroying it wouldn't destroy the truth. He sat down and lowered his face into both hands. For years he survived by controlling the narrative, shaping his version of strength, building walls no one could climb. Tonight Obama tore through every wall in 1 hour. JD's phone buzzed again. He ignored it. Until a new message came in from someone he didn't expect. "We need to talk. Now." "Campaign director." JD stared at the message. Then another came in. "People are panicking." Another. "If we don't respond within the hour, you're done." JD grabbed the phone and typed, "Call me." It rang instantly. His director didn't waste time. "Senator, I'm going to be direct. This is the worst night of your career." JD closed his eyes. "I know. You think people won't weaponize what Obama read tonight. They will. Opponents are already clipping the footage." JD rubbed his forehead. "What do you want me to do? Fix it before it spreads further." "How?" "Own it," the director said. "Beat them to the punch. Admit you struggled. Admit you hid it. Turn it into a redemption arc." JD's voice was low. "That's suicide." "No," the director said. "What you're doing now is suicide." JD fell silent. The director continued. "You either take control of the story tonight, or you lose everything by morning." JD's chest tightened. He whispered, "I don't know if I can." The director replied, "Then you were never meant for this." The words stung harder than the evaluation Obama read. JD stared at his reflection in the dark window, a man with tired eyes, trembling hands, and fear written across his face. "I'll call you back," JD said. He hung up before the director could respond. He stood alone in the dim hotel room, surrounded by the ghosts of the man he used to be. And then, as if the universe wanted to push him over the edge, his phone buzzed again. A new message. From someone JD never expected to hear from. Obama. It read, "If you want to talk privately, I'm still in the city. No cameras, no microphones." JD stared at the message. His pulse jumped. Why would Obama reach out again? Why would he offer a private conversation after tearing JD apart publicly? JD typed back, You think I'd meet after that? Obama replied instantly. I think you need to. JD's hand trembled over the screen. Another message came in. Because tonight wasn't about politics, it was about truth. JD paced. Then stopped. Stared at the phone. And typed. Where? Obama sent an address. A quiet cafe in a corner of the city, closing soon, away from the public. JD grabbed his coat. He knew he shouldn't go. But something deeper, something older pushed him forward. A part of him that wanted answers. A part of him that wanted peace. A part of him that didn't want to run anymore. He left the hotel and walked straight into the night. The cafe was nearly empty when JD arrived. Chairs stacked, lights dimmed. Only one booth in the corner was still lit. Obama sat there, hands folded, waiting. JD hesitated by the door until Obama motioned him over. JD approached slowly and slid into the booth across from him. Neither spoke for 10 seconds. Then Obama said, "You came." JD shrugged. "I needed something." Obama nodded. "No cameras," he said. "No audience, just you and me." JD sighed. "Why did you do that tonight?" he asked. "Really?" Obama leaned back. "Because you attack people for being honest about their struggles. And I wanted you to face your own." JD clenched his jaw. "You could have talked to me privately." Obama shook his head. "You wouldn't have listened." JD looked down. Obama continued gently. "You've been performing for so long you forgot how to be a person." JD's eyes softened. Obama added, "And I wasn't trying to humiliate you. I was trying to pull the brakes before you crashed." JD let out a long breath. "I'm not sure there's anything left to save." "There is," Obama said. "But only if you stop pretending." JD rubbed his hands together. "I don't know how." Obama leaned forward. "You start by admitting something simple. You're scared." JD swallowed. "And then what?" "Then," Obama said, "you learn who you are without the armor." JD rested his elbows on the table, staring at the wood grain. "You make it sound easy." "It's not," Obama replied. "But it's possible." JD didn't speak. Obama continued. "You're not weak because you struggled. You're weak because you lied about it." JD's throat tightened. Obama added, "You can fix that tonight." JD looked up. "How?" Obama gave a small, sincere shrug. "Tell the truth." JD leaned back, staring up at the ceiling like he was searching for a version of himself he barely remembered. "I don't know how to be vulnerable," JD admitted. Obama smiled faintly. "You just were." JD blinked, confused. "What?" Obama gestured at him. "You said you're scared. That's vulnerability." JD swallowed. Obama's voice softened. "The hardest part of growing is admitting you've been stuck." JD looked down at the papers Obama had forced him to face. "All those moments," JD said. "All those notes. All that stress. I thought hiding them made me strong." Obama nodded. "It made you fragile." JD froze. Obama leaned closer. "Strength isn't pretending you're unbreakable. Strength is breaking, then choosing to rebuild." JD exhaled sharply as if letting out years of pressure. Obama stood. "You're not done yet," he said. "But tonight, you started." JD looked up at him. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do after this." Obama held his gaze. "Tell the truth, and stop being afraid of the man you used to be." JD's lips parted slightly. "And if people reject me?" Obama shrugged. "Then they were never following you for the right reasons." JD swallowed hard. Obama placed a hand on the table. "You survived the truth tonight," Obama said. "Now survive the world tomorrow." With that, Obama walked toward the exit. JD sat there staring at his reflection in the dark cafe window. And for the first time in years, he didn't look like the man he pretended to be. He looked like someone real. Someone scared. Someone on the edge of change. Someone who finally saw himself. JD didn't sleep. He sat on the hotel bed with every paper scattered around him, each page glowing under the lamp like fragments of a person he tried to erase. His phone kept buzzing. Staff, donors, reporters, allies, enemies, all circling him like vultures waiting for the moment he broke. Every instinct in him said, "Fight back. Deny. Deflect. Attack Obama. Call the reports fake. Call the letter a misunderstanding." That was the version of JD the world knew. But the version sitting alone at 4:30 in the morning, shoulders slumped, eyes unfocused, hands trembling, that version knew denial would only tighten the noose. He kept hearing Obama's voice in his head. Strength built on lies collapses. JD looked down at the crumpled reflection paper. The words he once wrote honestly but fled from ever since. If I don't change, I will ruin my life before it even starts. He whispered to himself. Maybe I already did. Sunlight crept through the curtains. Not soft, not warm, just a reminder that time was moving whether he wanted it to or not. A knock rattled the hotel door. JD flinched. He wasn't expecting anyone. Another knock. "Senator," a voice called. "It's your campaign director." JD hesitated, then opened the door. His director rushed in, eyes wide with panic. "What happened last night was a disaster," he said. "You're everywhere. Every channel, every headline, every clip." JD rubbed his eyes. "I know." The director paced. "You cried on live TV. You shook. Obama read your private breakdown letter, and you walked out looking like a man who lost everything." JD didn't defend himself. The director stopped pacing. "We need a statement," he said. "A strong one, bold, aggressive. Something that flips the narrative." JD stared at him. "No." The director blinked. "No. No more lies," JD said. "No more pretending." The director scoffed. "Senator, honesty is not a strategy, it's suicide." JD looked at the papers scattered on the bed. "Maybe being honest is the only thing I haven't tried." His director pointed a finger at him. "If you admit what Obama said last night, you're finished." JD shook his head slowly. "If I deny it, I'm finished faster." Silence. The director sighed heavily. "So what do you want to do?" JD took a long breath. "I'm going to face it." The director stared, stunned. "You're serious?" JD nodded. "Get the press ready," he said. "Set a podium. No teleprompter. No script." The director ran his hands through his hair. "Senator, this is madness." JD looked out the window. "No, this is me telling the truth." The room filled fast. Reporters fighting for space, cameras stacking on tripods, flashes testing, microphones angled forward like weapons ready to fire. JD stood behind the curtain, gripping the sides of the podium with white knuckles. The weight of the night still pressed against his ribs. He had never felt this exposed. Never felt this human. His director whispered, "You can still back out." JD didn't move. "I'm tired of backing out of myself." The curtain opened. JD stepped forward. Instant chaos, cameras flashing, reporters shouting, microphones lunging forward. JD raised one hand. The room fell to a tense silence. He took a breath. "Last night," JD began, voice steady but low, "the country saw a part of me I spent years hiding." Reporters scribbled furiously. JD continued. "Obama revealed my Yale records, my evaluations, my emotional breakdowns, my letter asking for help, and most of all, the scared version of me I never wanted the world to see." A low murmur rolled through the room. JD held the podium tighter. "For years I acted like nothing bothered me, like I was unshakable, like I was stronger than everyone else." He paused. "That wasn't strength. That was fear." Cameras clicked like rainfall. JD kept going. "I attacked others to protect myself. I mocked vulnerability because I didn't want anyone to see mine. I built a wall instead of a life." A reporter shouted, "Senator, are you saying everything Obama read was true?" JD didn't hesitate. "Yes." Gasps. Flashes exploded. JD continued before questions could swallow him. "I struggled at Yale. I had outbursts. I felt cornered. I was scared. I tried to hide it, because I thought honesty would destroy me." Another reporter shouted, "Are you emotionally fit for office?" JD looked straight at her. "I'm fit because I know who I am now, and because hiding truth doesn't make anyone strong. Facing it does." The crowd buzzed wildly. JD pressed on. "I'm not proud of the man I used to be. The man who wrote those letters. The man who panicked when challenged. The man who feared being seen as weak." He inhaled deeply, voice tightening. "But I'm more ashamed of the man who tried to bury all of it." Another explosion of flashes. JD leaned into the microphone. "I won't run from the truth anymore." Reporters shouted questions like gunfire. "What did Obama say to you after the show? Is your campaign collapsing? Will you seek counseling now? Are you apologizing to voters? Did you cry because you panicked? Are you planning to resign?" JD held up both hands. "Let me be clear." Silence returned. "I'm not resigning, I'm not disappearing, and I'm not pretending to be perfect." He paused just long enough for the tension to thicken. "If people reject me for telling the truth, then they were never mine to lead." A stunned hush swallowed the room. JD stepped back from the podium. I will not be taking questions today. Reporters erupted, shouting for more, but JD walked away. He walked through the curtain, down the hallway, out the back exit. He didn't hide. He didn't run. He didn't shake. He just breathed. For the first time in years, he breathed like a man who wasn't carrying a lie. The car ride back to the hotel was quiet. Too quiet. JD stared out the window as buildings blurred by. His director sat stiffly beside him, hands clasped like he was waiting for a bomb to go off. Finally, the director said, "That was either the bravest thing you've ever done, or the dumbest." JD didn't look away from the glass. Maybe both. The director leaned forward. "You understand you've changed everything today?" JD nodded. "I hope so." The director sighed. "You just told the world you break under pressure. You admit emotional instability. You admitted everything Obama accused you of." JD nodded again. "They already saw it last night," he whispered. "You can't hide a broken dam." The director stared at him for a moment, then shook his head. "You're a different man today." JD exhaled. "I'm trying to be." The car stopped at a red light. Pedestrians crossed the street. Some recognized the vehicle. A few pointed. One lifted a phone to record. JD sank lower in his seat. The director noticed. "Still scared," he said quietly. JD didn't deny it. "I don't think that fear ever leaves." The director nodded slowly. "You think Obama intended this outcome?" JD thought about the cafe. The late-night conversation. The look in Obama's eyes, not triumph, but caution. "I think," JD said, "he wanted me to stop lying." The director raised an eyebrow. "And now?" JD looked down at his hands, steady for the first time since the ordeal began. "Now I figure out who I am without the armor." The car started moving again. JD looked out the window one more time. He didn't feel victorious. He didn't feel defeated. He felt something new, raw, uncomfortable, dangerous, honest. The kind of honest that changes a man. Whether it would save him or destroy him, JD didn't know yet. But for the first time in his life, he wasn't running. Back in his hotel room, JD finally collapsed onto the couch. The press conference drained whatever was left inside him. He wasn't sure if he had made things worse or started something new. He only knew he couldn't go backward anymore. He leaned his head back, eyes closed, breathing slowly. Then his phone rang. Not a text. Not an unknown number. Not a campaign staffer. A call. He looked at the screen. He froze. "Mom." JD stared at the name. They rarely talked. Their relationship was tight, loose, then tight again, depending on storms neither of them could control. He hesitated, then answered. "Hey." Her voice came through shaky, like she'd been crying. "I saw everything," she said softly. JD's chest tightened. "I figured you did." A pause. Just breathing. Just silence, holding back something heavy. "I didn't know you went through all that," she whispered. JD rubbed his eyes. "I didn't want anyone to know." His mother took a trembling breath. "You always tried to look tougher than you were, even as a kid." JD didn't respond. She continued. "People think strength is yelling, or not bending, or never showing fear." Her voice cracked. "But real strength is surviving the things that break you." JD swallowed. Another pause. "I wasn't there for you," she said suddenly. "Back then, when you were struggling." He sat up a little. "Mom, it wasn't your fault." "Yes, it was," she whispered. "You carried all that pressure alone. You shouldn't have." JD closed his eyes, absorbing her words like they were a truth he never allowed into his chest before. "I'm proud of you," she said. "Not for the politics, not for the speeches. For today. For being real." JD's breath trembled. "You're the first person to say that." His mother exhaled. "Well, then everyone else is wrong." JD let out a shaky laugh. She continued. "People will attack you now. They will twist your words. They will call you weak." JD nodded to himself. "I know." "But," she said, "some people will see what I saw today. A son who finally stopped hiding from himself." JD blinked, a tear slipping down before he could stop it. His mother spoke softly. "You survived worse than this. You'll survive this too." JD took a long breath, trying to steady his voice. "Mom, I'm scared." "I know," she whispered. "But this time, don't run from it. Walk through it." JD wiped his cheek. "Thank you." "For what?" she asked. "For calling." She chuckled softly. "Well, don't get used to it. I still think you talk too much on TV." JD laughed again. A real laugh, the first one in days. They said goodbye. He hung up. JD sat there for a moment, letting the silence settle around him. The storm outside his life hadn't calmed. The world was still spinning too fast. Reporters were still tearing him apart. Opponents were sharpening knives. Allies were whispering in corners. But for the first time, he didn't feel completely alone. He stood, walked to the window, and looked down at the city lights. Maybe this wasn't the end. Maybe, just maybe, it was the start of something else. Something real. Something he should have become years ago. JD whispered to himself. Let's see who I can be now. And for the first time since the folder opened on live TV, he felt the beginning of a different kind of strength. Not the kind built on fear. Not the kind built on anger. The kind built on truth.